The drive for five is very much still alive. Max Verstappen wins the Imola Grand Prix. I know it has the much longer name, but I'm not Italian. I'm not going to try to act like I can pronounce it all. But nonetheless, Max Verstappen wins the fourth consecutive race in Imola. And now this championship battle begins to heat back up. Everything was on the line for not just Max, but also Lando as well, which we'll get into the whole McLaren debacle again. Yet another McLaren debacle. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But that move on the opening lap by Max Verstappen, going through the S's, giving it, just sending it, making it stick, doing everything you have to do to get out in front, get that clean air, and be able to drive away. That is a vintage Max move. Absolutely incredible. A move that only Max could have done. He does it. It puts the dirty air onto the McLaren, onto Oscar, onto and then George Russell was kind of trapped behind. I mean, that was an incredible move that ultimately won Max the race. By the looks of it, he would have won on pace alone. It really looks like he had the fastest car throughout the race. I'm not entirely sure if he ended up with the fastest lap. I think that went to... Yes, he did. Max had the fastest lap, so he gets that extra point. And at this juncture, every single point matters. Now, this race, we were expecting a one-stopper. We did not get that. We got a two-stop race. Lap 29, so the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc came in very early, lap 12, 13, somewhere in there. And because he came in early, he had that open track in front of him, making the undercut work. He went from 11th up to 4th. And not too long after that, you had Oscar Piastri. He came down and got some four hard tires. And that didn't work as well because it was a bit of a panic move, because I believe because Russell came down just before that. McLaren goes into a panic, tries to cover off Russell, because once Russell and Leclerc shook out, Leclerc had actually passed George Russell. Now, Russell had handling issues with his car the entire time, but seeing that sent McLaren off into a bit of a panic. They came down, they pitted. There wasn't a gap for Oscar to close the gap on. He was stuck in a DRS train, ultimately sealing the fate of the McLarens to pretty much wipe away any chance they had at catching Max. And then you had the virtual safety car come out on lap 29, allowing Max to get a free pit stop along with many others up front. And at that point, Max was off in the distance. And you also had Lando Norris, who got really the preferred strategy in this, and on both of the safety cars. The first one being the virtual The second one being the full safety car on lap 48, which the full safety car, that went a while. But nonetheless, and I did see a couple people on the social media being like, why was the last one a virtual and this one was a safety car? Well, there's two different ways you can look at it. You can look at it the cynical way and believing nothing the FIA actually says, which I wouldn't blame you. It is that they did not have a gap in the racetrack to be able to get the tractor out there, so they had to bunch everybody up so they would have ample time to be able to pick the car up and get it off the track. Unlike in the first safety car where they weren't quite as spread out, even though I think they were still spread out pretty recently because most of the pit stops have taken place. But there may have been an opening. I did not go back and look on the track map. But nonetheless, they decided to handle it differently, and I think they did it. And the more cynical side is, well, the race up front was kind of a snooze fest. Let's bunch them back up. Let's see if the McLarens can take a true run at Max. And I personally thought that was a bit of a hose job that the FIA was trying to do on Max. But to no avail, Max was able to drive away and get 6 seconds up the road on Lando, 12 seconds on Oscar, and yeah, you get the whole picture. Now, the pit strategy debacle by McLaren. Oscar, they short pitted him, trying to be able to catch Max that way on the undercut, which they did go into a bit of a panic and brought down Oscar to cover off Russell because Charles had made so much ground on the undercut. The problem is, with an undercut, you have to have that open track to close the gap. If you are in a DRS train, like McLaren put Oscar in, you're not going to make ground. Andrea Stella knows that. The race strategist knows that. And that was a full-blown panic move by McLaren, causing them to mess up once again. And then you have the other blunder in this race by the McLaren strategist in the safety car restart and having Oscar and Lando fight it out while Oscar was on older tires. Lando had just got fresh hards. You clearly, if you want to win this race, you make the swap with Lando and Oscar right away. That way, you're not already starting behind. I mean, Lando made up 6 seconds over his teammate when Lando got the pass on him. You have to give yourself a chance to win without getting in your own way. And McLaren, once again, much like in Japan when Max won, McLaren got in their own way and prevented themselves from at least having a chance. Now, if McLaren would have done that swap in Japan, would McLaren have won? Not likely. Max had a really good car. It's very hard to pass in Suzuka, much like here. But you have that chance. You have that chance to at least try. And it's the same thing here. You go with the swap. You tell Oscar, pull off to the side, let Lando through as soon as you can. Lando's going to go try to bring this win home. And at least you're set up to potentially be in DRS, hang with him, maybe force Max into a mistake. As rare as it might be, it's still within the realm of possibility. But you didn't. You decided to let them fight it out. You nearly put yourself in a very, very dangerous spot because that was close, hard racing, which I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. But when I look at the strategy of this, absolute inexcusable blunder once again by McLaren, and it costed them another race. It costed them points in the championship, and it's going to come back and bite them in the rear. Max knows, we all know, Red Bull knows, and especially McLaren. They know it is not going. Red Bull is not going to be slow as can be all year long. They are going to get this figured out. They are going to catch back up. Christian Horner, which that's a whole nother discussion that we're going to have later here in a bit. Christian Horner is very good at his job. His job is to make those cars go fast. He's very good at it. He has put together 7 constructors champions, 6 or 7, roughly. He knows how to make cars go fast. He knows how to get the personnel to make cars go fast. He's very good at his job. And Zach Brown, Andrea Stella, they know Red Bull ain't gonna be down for much longer, and it is only a matter of time before Red Bull catches back up to McLaren. And not only that, it's only a matter of time before Mercedes catches up with McLaren. Because Toto Wolff, he's very good at his job too. 8 consecutive constructors titles. I believe it's also 8 consecutive drivers championships. There are 7. I think it's 7 and 8. Either way, a lot of championships under Toto's belt. He knows what he's doing. It's only a matter of time before this McLaren dominance starts to recede back. And we're seeing it happen in real time. And it looks like, from what we saw in Imola, it's only a matter of time before Ferrari closes that gap. Lewis had a good day. Things are slowly beginning to come together for Ferrari. They started 10th and 11th. They finished 4th and 6th. And on top of all of that, and shockingly enough, Williams, they're not too far behind. They are coming as well. They have a good stable of drivers. James Vowell, very, very good team principal. He's got this Williams team in serious contention for major points each and every single race. And Williams got a double points weekend. The RBs, you have Isaac Hadjar. He finished in the points once again. And you have Yuki. Rough weekend, rough day, but he still got points out of it. So Yuki's beginning to kind of get it together again. I'm saying Red Bull, the field's not gonna be that far behind for very long, and they are quickly catching up. Max was the fastest car today. We'll see what happens next week in Monaco, but this lead that McLaren has been very, very comfortable with, that's going to start disappearing real quick. And if they are not careful, it's not only going to cost Oscar the Drivers' Championship, but it could very well cost McLaren the Constructors' title. Yes, they have a huge lead right now, but when the Mercedes and when the Ferrari and when the Red Bull get it all figured out, that gap is going to start closing. And especially when it comes to the Constructors' title. We all know how Lando handles the pressure. We begin to see Lando crack. Oscar, I think he's got a harder shell than Lando. I don't think he's going to crack. I think he is the more talented driver of the McLaren tandem. But you need two drivers to win a Constructors' title. Unless you're Max with the RB19, then that's a whole different story. But nonetheless, that the field's coming, McLaren. These kind of mess ups cannot be happening. And then you have the updated driver standings after Imola, according with obviously Oscar Piastri. He is still our world championship leader. 13 points back, you have Lando Norris. And then 22 points behind Oscar, you have Max Verstappen. This is still a 3-horse race. Max, he's hanging on. Monaco, we roll right into Monaco in a week. It is there is so much on the line at Monaco. You have another bad qualifying effort from Lando. Something happens to Oscar, as the streets of Monaco tend to do to people. Because if you remember, Oscar struggled at Monaco last year a little bit. Obviously, could be a very different story. But who knows how it's all going to go down at Monaco. You also have to factor in the potential that the McLaren messes up pit strategy. A lot of things can happen at Monaco. As quote unquote boring as that race might be, lots of things can happen. And also, with Monaco, it's a mandatory 2-stopper. So where do you do those 2 stops? When's the most optimal time to do that? I have full confidence Red Bull is going to do it. I have full confidence Mercedes is going to do it. McLaren, I don't know. And then going a little bit further down, Russell, he's a bit on an island on his own, sitting at 99 points. And then you have Leclerc at 61, Lewis at 53, Kimi Antonelli at 48, Alex Albon, 40 points. He is within earshot of being 5th in a Williams. It is not going to be it's not going to be an unheard of situation if Albon can climb up to 5th. He's only 21 back. It can be done. Yeah, and this was really the first race weekend of the year that Max had the fastest car. His car was in race trim. His car was the fastest. Plain and simple. He had confidence in this car. The handling issue looks like it has worked itself out. It's worked out. You have upgrades coming in Barcelona, or it's not Barcelona. It's in the really long name that I can't pronounce. In the Spanish Grand Prix, things are beginning to come together with for Red Bull. And if Max can pull a back to back at Monaco, then it is truly game on. And that pressure, you're going to see Lando crack. You might see Andrea Stella crack. You might see Zach Brown crack. Max has been here before. If Max was going to crack, it was going to be in 2021. He didn't. If Red Bull was going to crack, it would have been in 2021. Or it would have been in 2010, I believe. When Seb got his first title. They didn't. Red Bull's been here before. They've been in these title fights. McLaren, this is their first true title fight since 2008, when Lewis won it for him on the final lap. This is the awesome part about F1 and the way that they have their point system, which yes, that is a full dig at NASCAR. As important as Imola was, Monaco, a whole different set of circumstances, and supremely important for everyone involved. For Oscar, for McLaren, for Lando, for Max, for Red Bull, for Mercedes. Each and every single time they go out there, it is immensely important. Take next week, for example, for the Coke 600. What potentiality could happen that could have a tail? Could have a tail into the deeper into the season. Nothing, because everything resets. All you gotta do is win, and you're into the playoff. Races don't matter in NASCAR. Not these races. Get one win, you're good. Here in F1, my favorite motorsport, everything is on the line. Each and every single week. It is captivating. You can tell a story about each and every single race. And that is why I absolutely love Formula One more than any other motorsport. The strategy, the stories that come out of it, the importance of each and every single race. You have to watch each and every single race, because something could change the dynamic of a team. Now, let's address some rumors, shall we? Moving on from that. I was seeing on social media from not very credible sources that if things go south, well, they didn't even say if things went south. It was like already like pseudo set in stone. That after Imola, Christian Horner was going to be out at Red Bull. Bull. That was full of crap. You're not going to sack Christian Horner. I get the car has not been fast this year, but that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. That was never that should have never been a thing. That was never gonna be a thing. What would you have had to gain by getting rid of Christian Horner mid-season on a at a part of a schedule where it's a back-to-back weekend. Back-to-back weekends. Nothing. It was never going to happen. If it was ever going to happen, it would be at the summer break. But only morons, only idiots make a change at team principal on a race weekend. Hi, Alpine. It was never going to happen, no matter what happened in this race. And you look even dumber now that Max won, having the fastest car. He had the fastest car, the car in the race. I mean, it didn't matter what what McLaren. I don't think it would have mattered what McLaren would have done as far as the strategy and driver swapping Lando and Oscar. There towards the end, Max was gone. He was going. He was winning this race, and nothing was going to stop him. You have to give these people time. They went the wrong direction on something. It happens. It's going to happen in F1. Mercedes went the wrong way when they came out with the car in 2022. They made a mistake. It's going to happen. You have to give good people who are good at their jobs, like Christian Horner, like Toto Wolff, time to fix the ship. And that's what they're doing. That is the smart play by Red Bull. That's what they were going to do the entire time. And the rumors that it was going to be France Toast, the RB team principal to step up into the big Red Bull, or it was going to be Oliver Oakes coming in, even though that's a whole different situation. No chance he was coming. And that whole Oliver Oakes deal that's a whole video in among itself on how messed up that situation is. But it was never going to happen. Though and it is insane that you have credible sources saying that, oh, Christian Horner could be out. I'm gonna call him out. Give me a moment to figure out. The Daily Express. They did several articles. The Express. Christian Horner on the verge of being sacked by Red Bull as 2 replacements discussed. He's had a difficult start, blah, 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 blah. Who did the Express say were two viable candidates to take Horner's spot? Well, Oliver Oakes, who might possibly be a wanted individual by Interpol. And let's see, who else was it? Franz Tost. Who's left the team in 2023. So, yeah. If you see something that's a little wild, like cutting one of the top teams changing their team principal on a back-to-back weekend for either who may possibly be an international criminal or someone who has been out since 2023, Yeah. Probably shouldn't believe those guys. I didn't believe it. That's why I didn't make a video on it. Because it was stupid. It was moronic. It, it. But yeah. So, that is all out of the way. That is my rant. I had another one open that was no reason. Okay. But yeah. So, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any racing, F1, NASCAR. You don't miss any football, college, and NFL, or anything else that I decide to do on this channel. If you're watching on Rumble, make sure to like and follow, and we'll see you guys in the next one.